Hey guys, what's going on? So in today's video, I want to talk to you guys about Skilletary. Now, if you've been following me for a little while, you'll know that I've been trying to make this team work. Over the last few weeks, actually I don't know how long exactly, I've been investing T4s into this team, much to, everyone else telling me this is a waste of time. And I do want to finally say, yes, this team was a major waste of time and resources by me. I feel bad, but I want to make sure that none of you guys make the same mistake. And the reason why is, I'll tell you this. So I did 2 Alliance War attacks today in the engineering room. So you'll see here in this attack above, actually, I failed twice. I just thought maybe I could make this work. So actually, under ideal circumstances, here, I'll tell you what happened. Basically, Yelena landed her Disrupt and removed defense up, because it was an engineering, on Strife, and he got 2 turns of defense, 2 turns of Disrupt. And I want to kind of point out here that this actually is a very unideal Marauders team. There is Protector class on both Sinister and Emma Frost. Most times you'll see that they're running Healer ISO, which makes them even more of a pain in the ass in terms of sustainability. And actually, Mystique and Sabretooth don't even have ISOs on this team. I thought, you know what, maybe I'd be able to punch up 35k, that it shouldn't be much of a problem. So actually, everything went out more or less how it should have, I would think, but yet I still lost anyways. So because Red Guardian has Spawn Taunt, Sinister is very likely, if not guaranteed, to clone Red Guardian. And so if it's a big Sinister like this, tier 14, it's not even tier 15 actually, it could have been bigger, but cloning Red Guardian is a pretty solid standalone character, so this actually caused a lot of problems in the match. I have quite a few T4s, and we're going to actually go over what I do have, and I thought that this should have been no problem. I thought we should have at least been able to kill Strife, given the amount of extra damage that we have going on to Strife. I came close a couple of times, but realistically, both runs actually did exactly the same. I didn't even manage to kill anyone, and this is highly disappointing for a team that was originally touted as, being a good war team, a war offensive team for teams like Mercs and Marauders specifically, because you guys know probably that Marauders are everywhere, that everyone's using a high tier Marauders team, especially because Sinister and Emma Frost are very top tier characters, so you're very likely to run into a tier 14 or tier 15 Sinister and Emma Frost. So, I've always been trying to look at ways to find counters for them, but no, this was a massive waste of time. And to really showcase why this is a waste of time and why we should be careful about the new Shadowland team coming out pretty soon, we need to look into the roster page for that. So that's where we're going to be jumping over to. And so there's a few things that I really want to point out first before we jump over to why I think Shadowland, why we need to be cautious about this team being another reworked team similarly to Skilitary. I want to go over the actual kits of the characters. I also want to show you what I have in terms of my T4. So for Yelena, I do have the tier 7 of the special going dark, and that's for an extra turn of Disrupt for 2 turns. And I want to point out that this did actually, and sorry my head's in the way, so it is 2 turns of Disrupt there. And I want to point out that this did actually land on Strike both times that I tried this this attack, but yeah, it didn't really seem to make a difference. Whether or not it was 1 turn Disrupt or 2 turn Disrupt, we still weren't able to kill Strife because of the extra healing from Sinister and all that, and because they don't really have a heal block, they don't really have a way to sort of stop them from healing back up again. You have to rely on some burst damage to kill them, which they do have some, but not enough. And so for Red Guardian, again, he's a really great standalone character, and I see that he's going to have use into the future, hopefully outside of this team. Fingers crossed, because I think he is a decent character. I do have the passive in level 5 here, so it does give him an extra 20% max health, and then skill military allies gain plus 20% max health. On spawn applies speed up to all skill military allies, so that's really nice. I feel like we're missing something. I feel like maybe there's a character that's missing, maybe because of the Black Widow movie. I don't know if they're planning on doing anything, reworking some of the characters, Black Widow or Taskmaster, to be put on this team. I don't know if this would make them better or make them more usable, but I'm just really disappointed with the amount of T4s that I put into some of these other characters. So Merc Soldier, I did get this one here. In war, gain an additional 30% damage. War military allies gain 30% damage. Now this is quite a bit, but for some reason this just doesn't seem enough to really make a significant difference on Punisher and Killmonger, who are probably the main damage dealers, I would say, because Yelena isn't really farmable at this point, so you can't really get her to high star levels to see that damage despite being a blaster class. Now, I didn't pick up the Frag Grenade T4, and the reason why I didn't do this was because I felt that his focus wasn't going to be high enough to actually reliably clear positive effects. Now, I could be wrong. You know, please leave this in the, please leave a comment down below if I am wrong. Maybe he can actually do this, but his focus versus, you know, some of the higher tier characters in the Marauders team who are going to be tier 13 and above, I just felt that it probably wasn't going to land and wasn't worth my investments at this point. But, you know, if this is what apparently makes the difference, please let me know. But I am at 5 red star, 7 star, level 70. Maybe I need to get level 75 for him, but it just, I can't, with a good heart, you know, put any more resources into this team than I've already had. You know, I can punch down about maybe 80k, but the fact that I can't even punch across, and the fact that I can barely punch up just a tiny bit, even when the enemy team is using unideal ISOs, seems like there's something wrong. And maybe my setup's wrong. Please let me know if my ISOs look wrong to you. Maybe Yelena should be Skirmisher instead of Raider, you know, and I'm not just getting enough ISOs, enough vulnerabilities applied, but I'm really livid with this team because I can't get it to work. I've spent you know, I got the tier 4 on full auto here, so that allows you to take transfer an extra positive effect to from primary target to self and all allies, to skill military allies. And I want to point this out here, this part here. So if this character has 3 or more skill military allies, transfer 1 positive. So you know all this. The problem with this, and I'm going to get over to the Shadowland characters in a bit here, is if any of them die throughout the match, then this fails to trigger. And they actually need 3 or more, not including himself. So you actually need 4 on the field, including himself, for this to actually work. Now, this becomes a problem in longer matches, or if this isn't cleared out in the first turn, basically, because if any of them start dying or dropping, then this won't be able to trigger. So you need, if you lose 2 people, then this won't trigger at all. And this becomes a problem with Punisher's skills, and we'll get to him. I picked up the grenade launcher. Maybe I need the fully loaded, but I don't know if I can invest, you know, 2 or 3 more T4s into this team and then not see progress at all, because I can't get this to work. And even with the T4 investment that I have, I thought maybe I'd be able to clear, you know, a punch across, but no, I haven't been able to do that yet. So again, Punisher's grenade launcher has kind of the same text here. So it adds this text here, the ability to transfer positive effects from enemies to self and skill military allies. Again, if anyone on the team starts dropping off, then you won't be able to use this. So I don't always lead with this. It really depends on the situation, because damage-wise is only 200%. And if I'm really trying to get Strife down, which I tried, you know, I tried doing the basic, because actually it does hit for a little bit more damage. And if the defense down is already off, I can follow up with the striker attack as well. But I just, yeah, maybe I need to get the ultimate upgraded, because this gives you that bonus sort of burst damage attack on the single target there. But again, the problem with this, of course, it has that same text, that 3 or more skill military allies. So if anyone dies throughout the fight at all, then these might start to fail to actually trigger. But specifically on Punisher and Killmonger, Red Guardian doesn't have this on Red Star, which again transfers 1 positive effect. So the same kind of text here, but it's not actually required to have skill military allies on the field to use it to transfer the positive effect, whereas both for Killmonger and for Punisher it does. And I think this is a major problem with this team. And yeah, I'm just at my wit's end with this. You know, I realistically can't, you know, invest any more resources into this team than I already have. And I'm really, really disappointed that I maybe even wasted, you know, the 3 or 4 T4s that I have, and maybe there might come into some use in the future. But right now, I definitely don't recommend anyone trying this. Even if I have a tier 14 Punisher, which I had for Dark Dimension 3, it just isn't good enough, you know, and I'm really, really, really disappointed. And it's sad, because I have a 6 red star Red Guardian, have no idea exactly what I'm going to be using him on in the future. Now, to talk about this more, I want to talk about the Shadowland team in the second part of this video, and why the skill military, the rework is a bit of an issue for the reworked characters specifically. Moon Knight and White Tiger don't have this issue, but again, Daredevil, Elektra, and Night Nurse do, I believe. So I believe it's where is it? Is it specifically Elektra? Where is it? Here. So there's a text here, I believe. I'm probably blind here. So actually, not to mention, you do need tons of T4s for this team, so everyone knows this already. But specifically, I'm looking for the text that states that you need, here we go, that you need 3 or more Shadowland allies. So if this character has 3 or more Shadowland allies, this attack cannot be blocked. Now, I don't think that this is as egregious as it is for Skilletary in terms of having this, you know, this part of the ability triggered. That's really nice, but, you know, it's not going to make or break the team, probably, I would think. Where it could become an issue, of course, is, I think, on Electra, who does have that on her ultimate. I believe you need 4 or more Shadowland allies. Now, this is very... You're probably going to get this off at the very least in the beginning, I think, although it's actually not a turn 1 ability. I thought this was a turn 1 ability, actually, with the Shadowland team, but it looks like I am wrong about that one as well. This one here, the spawn, if this character has 4 or more Shadowland allies, gain an 85% chance to revive on death. Now, again, 4 or more. So what this really means is you need a full slated team. So if anyone at all on this team dies, this part doesn't trigger. So Electra's, this part of Electra's kit and this part of Electra's kit, if anyone on the team dies for whatever reason at all, then these will fail to trigger. Now, how much you actually need this to actually make the team work, that's something important to consider, because like I said, from skill military, skillitary, whatever, skill garbage, you know, if anyone dies from that team, you need less actually on the skill military than what Electra is requiring. But again, if you don't have them, then it's not going to trigger. And this one here, if this character has 3 or more Shadowland allies, you know, apply 3 bleed instead. So again, that's a total of 4 characters, including herself. So you can actually lose one character and have this still triggered. But for the passive and for the ultimate, Electra's pretty egregious in this. If anyone starts dying on the team, then your abilities aren't going to trigger. So this is really important, and to know whether or not these are required to actually make the team work. Because if it is, and you end up losing one of these characters early on in the fight for whatever reason, you know, if you're trying to punch up against Black Order, because we were seeing footage about them being really good against Black Order and somebody dies, then GG, because really at that point, yeah, it's going to be a bit of a problem. For Night Nurse, it's not as bad if this character has 2 or more Shadowland allies, so that's herself and 2 others, which actually should be okay. But the fact that it even has these texts is a bit of an issue, I think, and I understand why they're doing that, because they don't want you to be able to use some of this outside that team. But I want to kind of bring you back to Red Guardian, who, you know, doesn't really have any of that requirements. So I know he is a newer character, and they're trying to get us to put T4s into these older characters, and I understand that. But you really need to keep an eye on how much that's going to make or break the team, and I don't really know at this point. Luckily, I don't think that Night Nurse has anything else that has that text. I think it's just mainly that that basic there, and Electra has that on her special, her ultimate and her passive. So Electra's the most egregious one on this team. I'm fairly certain, you know, just at brief glance, that I've gone through the kits before on Moon Knight and White Tiger. Pretty sure they don't have text that says requiring other Shadowland characters. So yeah, I just want to... Shadowland is something I am considering due to my red stars that I might actually put some T4s into, maybe, you know, but I feel really burned out by Skilletary and how I've been burned there, and whether or not Shadowland is going to be exactly the same as Skilletary, maybe less egregious. You know, Skill Military seems to be blocked behind not only the T4s, but the actual capability of keeping those characters alive, and that really frustrates the hell out of me. So I'm thinking that Shadowland isn't going to be the same in that way, and I think that Moon Knight and White Tiger seem like stronger characters in being able to be counters for Marauders and other teams. I just feel that I've just wasted... I probably have, you know, at least a month's worth of T4s into this team with really not much to show for it, and it's really disappointing. I could punch down, I think I've been able to punch down about 50k or more against Marauders, but the fact that I can't punch across on a team that was meant to be a counter to them just feels really, really, really disappointing. So I want to hear what you guys have to think about this, have to say about this, and whether or not you've been investing any at all, any resources into Skilletary, and if you feel just as burned out as I am about this. But yeah, this is probably... Normally I don't get that frustrated, and maybe this isn't that frustrating for other people, but I can't believe how much I've wasted into this team, into the Skill Military team, with, you know, with nothing to show for it. So that's all I wanted to talk to you guys today about this Skill Military rant, and what to watch out for the Shadowland team coming up, because I think White Tiger is going to be just around the corner. So be careful, guys. You know, if you're holding out for this team, I would definitely be a bit cautious and maybe wait for other people to do it before you actually decide to do it yourself, just in case. You never know. So thanks everyone for watching, guys, and until next time, stay safe. I'll see you all later. Boylon signing out.